Dust devils danced across the parched Texas landscape, mirroring the whirlwind of loneliness swirling in Jake's gut. He was a millionaire, all right. Oil money had flowed into his family for generations, enough to buy half the county. He owned a sprawling ranch, the kind you only saw in magazines, complete with prize-winning cattle and enough horses to start his own cavalry. But what good was it all when he had no one to share it with? Jake wasn't one for fancy parties or city life. He preferred the quiet solitude of the ranch, the rhythmic creak of the windmill, the comforting lowing of his cattle. But the silence had become deafening lately. The ranch hands were good company, sure, but they weren't family. He longed for a partner, someone to share his sunsets and his dreams, someone to build a life with. He tried the usual routes: church socials, town dances, but the women he met seemed more interested in his bank account than his heart. He was just about ready to give up when he saw an advertisement for a mail-order bride service. He'd scoffed at first, but the idea kept nagging at him. Maybe, just maybe, there was someone out there who wasn't impressed by his wealth. Someone who was simply looking for a good man and a fresh start. So, against his better judgment, he'd filled out the forms, describing his ranch and his life, hoping to attract someone genuine. He wasn't expecting a queen, just a companion. Someone to share the simple joys of ranch life. Someone to chase away the dust devils of loneliness that plagued him day and night. He hoped he hadn't made a terrible mistake. Only time would tell. The train whistle shrieked, a mournful sound that echoed across the dusty plains. Jake, dressed in his best denim shirt and freshly polished boots, he wanted to make a good impression, just in case, stood awkwardly near the edge of the platform, trying to look nonchalant. He told himself he was just there to pick up supplies, that he wasn't really expecting anything. Passengers began to disembark, a mix of weary travelers and excited newcomers. Jake scanned the faces, but none of them looked like the woman from the photograph he'd received, Anya, with her kind eyes and gentle smile. Then he saw her. She stood a little apart from the others, a small, solitary figure amidst the bustle. She was even more beautiful than her picture, with long, dark hair pulled back in a simple braid and a face that spoke of both resilience and vulnerability. She clutched a worn suitcase and a small, embroidered bag. But something was wrong. A burly man with a handlebar mustache and a booming voice was gesturing angrily at her. "I specifically requested a woman of ample build. You're far too petite," he bellowed, drawing the attention of everyone nearby. Anya's face flushed crimson, but she stood her ground, her chin held high. "The advertisement stated my height and weight," she replied, her voice soft but firm. "I did not misrepresent myself." "Well, you're not what I expected," the man roared. "Take your things and get out of here. I have no use for you." He turned his back on her and stomped away, leaving Anya standing alone on the platform, her face a mask of humiliation. Jake felt a surge of anger and a wave of compassion. This wasn't right. This woman deserved better. Jake watched as Anya took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and walked over to a bench, placing her suitcase carefully beside her. There was a quiet dignity in her movements, a strength that belied her delicate frame. He noticed she didn't allow herself to cry, not in public anyway. Instead, she opened her embroidered bag and pulled out a small, well-worn book. She began to read, her lips moving slightly as she followed the words on the page. He lingered, observing her from a distance. He admired her composure, her refusal to crumble under the weight of such blatant rejection. Most women would have dissolved into tears, but Anya seemed determined to maintain her composure, to find solace in the pages of her book. He wondered what she was reading. Perhaps it was poetry, or a novel, or a collection of inspirational stories. Whatever it was, it seemed to be providing her with a temporary escape from her predicament. The station was slowly emptying as people went their separate ways. Anya remained on the bench, oblivious to the dwindling crowd. Jake knew he couldn't just stand there and watch her all day. He had to do something. But what? He hadn't come to the station to rescue a damsel in distress. He'd come to meet his own mail-order bride, a woman he now realized he would never meet. He took a deep breath and started walking towards her, his boots crunching on the gravel. He had no idea what he was going to say, but he knew he couldn't leave her there alone. He couldn't just stand by and watch her dreams be shattered. He had to offer her something, anything, to ease her pain and give her a glimmer of hope. He only hoped he wouldn't make things worse. "Excuse me," Jake said, his voice a little rough around the edges. Anya looked up, startled. Her eyes, he noticed, were the color of warm honey, and they held a hint of sadness. "Yes," she replied, her voice soft and slightly accented. I couldn't help but overhear what happened, Jake stammered, feeling like a complete fool. I'm Jake. Jake Sullivan. He extended his hand. Anya hesitated for a moment, then placed her hand in his. Her hand was small and delicate, but her grip was surprisingly firm. Anya Petrova, she said. Look, Anya, Jake continued. I know this is probably the last thing you want to hear right now, but I couldn't just leave you here. Do you have anywhere to go? Anya shook her head, her eyes welling up with tears. No, she whispered. I sold everything I owned to come here. Jake's heart sank. He couldn't imagine being in her position, stranded in a strange country with no money and no place to go. Well, he said, trying to sound confident, I have a ranch not too far from here. It's just me and the ranch hands. But you're welcome to stay there for a few days until you figure out what you want to do. It's not much, but it's a roof over your head and 3 square meals a day. No strings attached. Just until you get back on your feet. He held his breath, waiting for her answer. He knew it was an impulsive offer, maybe even a foolish one, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he had to help her. He had to do something. It was the least he could do. He just hoped she wouldn't think he was crazy. Or worse, that he was trying to take advantage of her situation. Anya stared at Jake, her honey-colored eyes wide with disbelief. She had expected nothing but scorn and indifference after her humiliating rejection. This kind cowboy was offering her a safe haven, a place to rest and regroup. It seemed too good to be true. Are you sure? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't want to impose. Positive, Jake replied, offering her a reassuring smile. The ranch is big enough, and the hands won't mind. They're good fellas. He hesitated, then added, besides, I have a feeling you're not the type to sit around and do nothing. Maybe you could even help out a little if you're up to it. Anya's eyes lit up at the suggestion. She had always been a hard worker, and the thought of contributing something, of earning her keep, appealed to her sense of pride. I am a very good cook, she offered, a small smile playing on her lips. And I know how to sew in men's clothes. Well, that's settled then, Jake said, relieved that she seemed to be warming up to the idea. Let's get your things. My truck's parked just over there. As they walked towards the parking lot, Anya couldn't help but feel a sense of overwhelming gratitude. This stranger, this kind and generous cowboy, had rescued her from a truly desperate situation. She knew nothing about him, but she sensed that he was a good man, a man of integrity and compassion. She glanced at him out of the corner of her eye. He was tall and rugged, with kind eyes and a warm smile. He was nothing like the man she had expected to marry, but somehow she felt safer with him than she had ever felt before. She still didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in days, she felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, things were going to be all right. The drive to Jake's ranch was longer than Anya expected. As they traveled further away from the town and deeper into the countryside, the landscape transformed into endless stretches of rolling hills and grazing land. Anya was captivated by the sheer vastness of it all. She had never seen anything like it in her life. It's beautiful, she said, gazing out the window in awe. It is, isn't it? Jake replied, a hint of pride in his voice. I've always loved this land. As they approached the ranch, Anya was struck by its size and grandeur. The main house was a sprawling, 2-story building with a wide porch and a neatly manicured lawn. There were barns, stables, and corrals stretching as far as the eye could see. It was clear that Jake wasn't just a simple rancher, he was a man of considerable wealth. Anya felt a pang of unease. She had been so focused on her immediate predicament that she hadn't really considered the implications of staying with a man like Jake. She wondered if she was making a mistake, if she was getting herself into a situation she couldn't handle. But as Jake helped her out of the truck and smiled warmly at her, her fears began to subside. There was something genuine and down-to-earth about him that put her at ease. Despite his obvious wealth, he didn't seem arrogant or pretentious. He seemed like a good man, a kind and generous soul who was simply trying to help someone in need. And that, more than anything, was what mattered to her. She was still nervous, but she was also grateful. She had a roof over her head, a warm meal to look forward to, and the company of a kind-hearted man. For now, that was enough. Life on the ranch was a whirlwind of activity. Anya, true to her word, didn't sit idle. She started small, helping the cook, Mrs. Henderson, with meal preparations. Mrs. Henderson, a stout woman with a heart of gold, initially eyed Anya with suspicion, but quickly warmed up to her after tasting her delicious apple strudel. Soon, Anya was taking on more responsibilities. She mended clothes for the ranch hands, her nimble fingers working wonders with torn denim and frayed seams. She helped tend to the vegetable garden, her knowledge of herbs and plants proving surprisingly useful. She even learned how to milk a cow, much to the amusement of the ranch hands. Anya was a quick learner and she wasn't afraid of hard work. She woke up early each morning and went to bed late at night, always eager to lend a hand wherever she was needed. She surprised everyone with her resilience and adaptability. She embraced the challenges of ranch life with a positive attitude and a can-do spirit. Jake watched her with admiration. He was impressed by her work ethic and her willingness to learn. He saw her interacting with the ranch hands, laughing and joking with them, and he realized that she was quickly becoming an integral part of the ranch community. She wasn't just a guest, she was family. He found himself seeking her out, wanting to hear her stories, to learn about her life before she came to Texas. He enjoyed her company, her wit, and her unwavering optimism. He was starting to realize that his impulsive act of kindness at the train station might have been the best decision he had ever made. He had expected to offer her a temporary refuge, but instead she was bringing something much more valuable to his ranch, a sense of warmth, joy, and belonging. Evenings on the ranch became something Jake looked forward to. After dinner, when the day's work was done, he and Anya would often sit on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in vibrant hues of orange and purple. They would talk for hours, sharing stories and laughter. Jake learned about Anya's life in Russia, her dreams of becoming a teacher, her love for literature and poetry. He discovered that she was intelligent, articulate, and fiercely independent. He was amazed by her inner strength, her ability to overcome adversity with grace and dignity. Anya, in turn, learned about Jake's passion for the ranch, his dedication to his cattle, and his deep connection to the land. She saw beyond his wealth and his cowboy persona, recognizing the kind and generous heart that lay beneath. She appreciated his quiet strength, his unwavering honesty, and his genuine concern for others. They discovered a shared love for old movies, and they would often spend evenings watching them together in the ranch's small living room, sharing popcorn and blankets. They would debate the merits of different actors and directors, their voices filled with laughter and enthusiasm. As they spent more time together, a deep connection began to form between them. It wasn't just physical attraction. It was something much deeper, something more profound. They understood each other, they respected each other, and they genuinely enjoyed each other's company. They were becoming friends, confidants, and perhaps something more. Jake knew he was falling in love with her, and he suspected that she might be feeling the same way about him. But he was afraid to say anything, afraid to ruin the beautiful thing that they had created. He didn't want to scare her away. He just wanted to cherish every moment he had with her, hoping that it would last forever. The idyllic peace of the ranch was shattered one sweltering afternoon. A fancy, black car, out of place amongst the dusty trucks, pulled up to the main house. Darla Mae, a vision in scarlet lipstick and a dress that screamed city, stepped out, her high heels sinking slightly into the soft earth. Darla Mae had history with Jake. They dated briefly a few years back, but Jake had ended things when he realized she was more interested in his money than him. She hadn't taken it well. "Jake, darlin'," she cooed, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Heard you had some company. Thought I'd drop by and see who's been keepin' you so busy." She cast a disdainful glance at Anya, who was tending to the roses near the porch. "Darla Mae," Jake said, his voice flat. "What do you want?" "Just payin' a friendly visit," she purred, ignoring his frosty tone. "Though I must say, your taste has certainly changed." She sauntered over to Anya, her eyes narrowed. "And who might you be, little missy?" "The new maid." Anya straightened her back and met Darla Mae's gaze unflinchingly. "My name is Anya Petrova," she said calmly, "and I am a guest of Mr. Sullivan." Darla Mae let out a harsh laugh. "A guest? Don't tell me Jake's fallen for another mail-order bride scheme. Honestly, Jake, you never learn." She turned back to Jake, her eyes flashing with anger. "I always knew you were lonely, but I never thought you'd be this desperate." She paused, then added with venom, "She's probably just after your money, Jake, just like all the others." Jake stepped forward, his jaw tight. "Darla Mae, that's enough. Anya is a kind and generous woman, and she deserves your respect. Now, I suggest you leave. You're not welcome here." The storm clouds were gathering, and Jake wasn't just talking about the weather. Darla Mae, defeated but still seething, stomped back to her car and sped away, leaving a cloud of dust in her wake. Jake turned to Anya, his face etched with concern. "I'm so sorry about that," he said, his voice laced with sincerity. "Darla Mae can be difficult." Anya simply nodded, her expression unreadable. Jake couldn't tell if she was angry, hurt, or simply indifferent. Did she upset you? He asked hesitantly. Anya met his gaze, her honey-colored eyes filled with a quiet strength. She tried, she said, but she did not succeed. Jake was relieved. He realized that Anya was stronger than she appeared, that she wouldn't be easily intimidated by someone like Darla May. Later that evening, as they sat on the porch, Jake decided to address the situation head-on. Anya, he began, I want you to know that Darla May's words were meaningless. I care about you very much, and I would never let anyone speak to you like that again. Anya reached out and took his hand, her touch warm and comforting. Thank you, Jake, she said softly. I know you do. And I care about you too. They sat in silence for a moment, their hands clasped tightly together. The tension that had been building between them since Darla May's arrival began to dissipate. I understand if you want to leave, Jake said, his voice filled with uncertainty. After all this, I wouldn't blame you. Anya shook her head. I am not leaving, Jake, she said firmly. I am staying. I want to stay. And in that moment, Jake knew that their bond was stronger than ever. They had faced a challenge together and they had emerged victorious. Their loyalty to each other had been tested and it had proven to be unwavering. He knew with absolute certainty that he loved her. And he had a feeling that she loved him too. The next few weeks were a blur of happiness and apprehension for Jake. He knew he loved Anya deeply and irrevocably. But he was terrified of telling her, of shattering the fragile peace they had built. He kept replaying their initial meeting in his mind, reminding himself that she had come to Texas to marry someone else. What if she still harbored feelings for that man? What if she saw him only as a friend, a benefactor? He also worried about the circumstances of their meeting. He was a wealthy rancher and she was a rejected mail-order bride. It was an unconventional beginning, to say the least. Would she ever be able to see past the differences in their backgrounds, to truly love him for who he was? One evening, as they were riding horses through the golden fields, Jake decided he couldn't wait any longer. He had to tell her how he felt, even if it meant risking everything. He stopped his horse and turned to face Anya, his heart pounding in his chest. Anya, he said, his voice trembling slightly, there's something I need to tell you. Anya looked at him expectantly, her honey-colored eyes filled with concern. What is it, Jake? She asked softly. Jake took a deep breath and plunged in. I've fallen in love with you, Anya, he confessed, his voice filled with raw emotion. I know this is probably the last thing you expected to hear, but it's true. I love you. I love your kindness, your strength, your intelligence. I love everything about you. He paused, his eyes searching hers. But I understand if you don't feel the same way. I know our situation is complicated, but I had to tell you. I couldn't keep it inside any longer. He waited, his fate hanging in the balance, afraid of the answer. Anya's eyes softened and a gentle smile spread across her face. Oh, Jake, she said, her voice filled with emotion. I was hoping you would say that. Jake's heart leaped with joy. You feel the same way? He stammered, hardly daring to believe it. Anya nodded, her eyes sparkling with tears. Yes, Jake, she said softly. I do. I have fallen in love with you too. Jake let out a sigh of relief, the weight of his fear lifting from his shoulders. He reached out and took her hand, his fingers interlacing with hers. When I first met you at the train station, Anya continued, I was drawn to your kindness. You were so generous, so willing to help someone you didn't even know. That meant a great deal to me. But as I got to know you better, she added, I discovered so much more. I saw your strength, your integrity, your unwavering commitment to your family and your ranch. I admired your passion for the land, your respect for your employees, your genuine goodness. She paused, her eyes meeting his. I realized that you are a truly exceptional man, Jake Sullivan. And I am incredibly lucky to have you in my life. Jake's heart swelled with love and gratitude. He couldn't believe that this beautiful, intelligent, and kind woman loved him, flaws and all. He had never felt so happy, so complete. He leaned in and gently kissed her, his lips meeting hers in a tender and heartfelt embrace. It was a kiss that spoke of love, trust, and a shared future. And in that moment, they both knew that they were destined to be together. The sun set, casting a golden glow over the fields as Jake and Anya sat on their horses, holding each other close. They had found love in the most unexpected of places, and they knew that their journey together was just beginning. The next morning, Jake woke up with a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. He knew what he had to do. He had to ask Anya to be his wife. He didn't have a fancy diamond ring to offer her. He'd never been one for extravagant displays of wealth. He wanted to give her something more meaningful, something that came from the heart. After breakfast, he found Anya in the garden, tending to her beloved roses. He walked up to her, his heart pounding in his chest. Anya, he said, his voice filled with love and sincerity, I know this is probably coming too soon, but I can't imagine my life without you. You've brought so much joy and happiness into my world, and I want to spend the rest of my life making you happy too. He knelt down on one knee, took her hand in his, and looked into her eyes. Anya Petrova, he said, his voice trembling slightly, will you do me the honor of becoming my wife? He didn't offer her a ring. Instead, he offered her his heart, his soul, and his unwavering commitment. I can't promise you a life of luxury, he said, but I can promise you a life filled with love, laughter, and companionship. I promise to always be there for you, to support you, to cherish you, and to love you unconditionally. Will you marry me, Anya? He waited, his fate hanging in the balance, hoping with all his heart that she would say yes. He wasn't offering her riches or fame. He was offering her something much more valuable, a lifetime of love and devotion. He hoped it would be enough. He hoped she would see the sincerity in his eyes, the depth of his love in his heart. He hoped she would say yes. Anya's eyes filled with tears of joy, and a radiant smile lit up her face. Yes, Jake, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. Yes, I will marry you. Jake let out a whoop of delight and swept her into his arms, spinning her around in a circle. He had never felt so happy, so blessed. He had found his soulmate, his partner, his queen. They spent the rest of the day sharing their joy with the ranch hands. Mrs. Henderson baked a huge chocolate cake, and the men strung up lanterns and fairy lights in the barn. Everyone was thrilled for Jake and Anya. They had all come to love and respect Anya for her hard work, her kindness, and her infectious spirit. That evening, they gathered in the barn for a small celebration. Jake and Anya stood before them, hand in hand, their faces beaming with happiness. I want to thank you all for being here, Jake said, his voice filled with emotion. Anya and I are so grateful to have you in our lives. You're not just our employees, you're our family. The ranch hands cheered and clapped, their faces filled with genuine affection. They raised their glasses in a toast to the happy couple, wishing them a lifetime of love and happiness. Anya, overcome with emotion, stepped forward and addressed the crowd in her slightly accented English. I am so grateful to be a part of this community, she said, her voice trembling with tears. You have all welcomed me with open arms, and I feel like I have finally found my home. The celebration continued late into the night, with music, dancing, and laughter filling the air. Jake and Anya danced the night away, their hearts overflowing with love and gratitude. They were surrounded by the people who mattered most to them, and they knew that they were exactly where they were supposed to be. They were home. The following years were a testament to their love and commitment. Anya and Jake worked side by side, building a life together on the ranch that was richer and more fulfilling than either of them could have ever imagined. Anya, with her keen business sense, helped Jake streamline the ranch's operations, increasing its profitability and ensuring its long-term sustainability. She introduced new farming techniques, implemented better record-keeping systems, and expanded the ranch's reach into new markets. Jake, in turn, supported Anya's dreams of giving back to the community. Together, they established a scholarship fund for local students, providing them with the opportunity to pursue higher education. They also volunteered their time at the local school, teaching children about ranch life and the importance of environmental conservation. Anya became known and respected throughout the community for her intelligence, her compassion, and her unwavering dedication to making a difference. She joined the local women's club, participated in town meetings, and became a vocal advocate for the needs of rural families. Their home was filled with laughter, warmth, and love. They hosted countless gatherings for family and friends, their table always laden with delicious food and their hearts always open to new experiences. They created a haven of peace and tranquility on the ranch, a place where everyone felt welcome and valued. They faced challenges and setbacks along the way, but they always faced them together, their love for each other serving as their guiding light. They learned to compromise, to forgive, and to support each other through thick and thin. They built a relationship that was based on trust, respect, and unwavering commitment. Their ranch became a symbol of hard work, dedication, and community. They were a team, a partnership, a love story for the ages. And they were just getting started. Years passed, filled with joy, laughter, and the occasional challenge. Jake and Anya remained deeply in love, their bond growing stronger with each passing year. They continued to run the ranch together, their partnership a testament to their mutual respect and admiration. Anya, once a rejected mail-order bride, had blossomed into a confident and respected woman, a true pillar of the community. She had not only found a loving husband but had also discovered her own strength and potential. She was no longer just a guest on the ranch, she was its heart and soul, its guiding light. Jake, once a lonely millionaire cowboy, had found his purpose in life. He had discovered that true happiness wasn't about wealth or success, it was about love, companionship, and making a difference in the world. He cherished Anya with every fiber of his being, grateful for the day he had impulsively offered her a helping hand at the train station. Anya had truly become the queen of Jake's heart and his ranch. She had brought warmth, joy, and a sense of belonging to his life, transforming his sprawling estate into a loving home. Their story is a reminder that love can be found in the most unexpected places, that kindness can change lives, and that appearances can be deceiving. It's a testament to the power of seeing beyond superficial qualities and recognizing the true worth of another human being. It is about opening your heart, taking a chance, and believing in the possibility of happily ever after. It is about a millionaire cowboy and his rejected mail-order bride who found their forever in each other's arms. The end.